Hello, everybody, and good evening for the people who are here live. Let's see now. I had thought I had hit the go live button, but I forgot that you had to actually hit it twice. But sorry to hear about your wife, Frail Artist. Uh, I'm assuming that you have to take care of her because she's much prettier than I am. But that's just my assumption. Hello there, uh, Curly Express or Dwight, and Dwayne's Fork and Spoon Railroad has popped in. So right now it looks like we have four people. Uh, yeah. Actually, I wound up doing something, possibly smart last week. Was actually after I stopped the broadcast, turned around and scheduled the next one. I'm not sure how well that was that good or bad. Don't know, but that's I guess the way it is. Um, One thing it seems that the last time they updated Firefox, usually my hard drive would be about 80%. They were sort of like bouncing around that much. But since the last update, I've been a little concerned because it's showing at 0%. So I'm not sure how they went from using the drive at 80% down to 0. But it seems to be working fine. So I'm not going to complain about it, but now is the surgery for you or her? I'm assuming her, but it also could be for you, which would also not be that great either. But I had actually not really thought of a pretty much of an intro. One thing I wound up doing earlier today is actually adding ties to the roadbed. But I have a feeling I might have to redo the roadbed on the one side. But it's one of those things of I probably should show you what I'm talking about. And go to this camera. As you can see, I have the bridge in place and the ties in place. Now the good thing is that with checking with everything, it looks like I can't really see it from this camera angle, but it seems the ties from here all the way to actually all the way across on this side is all flat. And it's all flat from here to here. But then when it hits here, these seem to be in this area flipped up a little bit. So there's seems to be a possible, a slight possible bump up here. So I might have to take this back out so I can push this down and then theoretically have everything flat. Like I did last time, I am planning to have this removable. I was on Boxcar Jerry's live 7-hour live stream. Apparently it was. I got on towards the end of it, and basically he asked me, do I have a layout and all that, and I said yes, I do have a layout. It's just that right now I'm doing track work on it. I'm adding let's see if I can actually find the silly things. I'm adding switches to the track work and all that, and in order to do so, it's a portable layout, so I have the legs off. So uh, if you watch some of my earlier if you watch some of my earlier stuff and all that, you would actually see the layout sort of like peeking over here. Um, it's one of those things that it also takes up a lot of space, so it's not really in a rush to put it back together, but it's probably something I should do eventually soon. But yeah, once this is dry and all that, I'll probably see about fixing this part here, trying to get it back down. In the meantime, I have decided to work on this pond that's supposed to go over here eventually, and figure out how to make that nice. There was a suggestion on Jerry's live stream, because they were talking about root canals and stuff like that, and I said, do they make anything from 1876? If they made anything in HO scale that does canal barges, sort of like get off the subject and all that. So that might be a possibility for my next one, is actually making, instead of trying to do a stream like I'd done with this one and the last one, actually the last three, actually try to make like a canal that'd be a little bit more flatter, and to go along those directions. But I haven't gotten that far yet. I haven't started the other one. Well, I started the valley basically for it, but not anything else besides that. So let's continue on with this. Trying to think what would be a good, because I have either ink and black, and I think this is grayish. I gotta sort of like shake this one up. Or I have the ever so fun Hunter line weathering mix. I'm trying to think what would actually, let's go this direction. I wound up using some of this for the different ties, but I think I did not shake them up, because the ties that are blues should be much, much, much darker. So I have a feeling I forgot to shake everything up. And let's see, what can we do with I'll say this being the sort of deep end of everything. Then I have a driftwood. We could probably use that for the spots that are a little bit closer to the end. And I'm thinking about making right here is like the deep end. Of the, you can't tell from the angle of the camera, but this is much deeper than this end. This looks relatively light, so we'll let the ink, let the deeper spot go there. Maybe we'll use a drop of this black ink, to sort of do the sort of like the real real bottom. And then we'll use the driftwood for the shallower parts. And I'm not sure if this is going to work properly, but it's one of those things of, sometimes you don't know what's going to work until you actually try it. All right. Watch that. Now, I'm not quite sure what to do next. Everything is still wet. One thing I think I might wind up doing, since I got plenty of this, this is fine ballast. Maybe add some fine ballast in between these rocks because, even though these rocks are here, you usually don't have just big rocks. You usually have smaller ones also. So let me wet this down. Let's get it all nice and wet. We'll also get some of the other spots where we're planning to have water. Trying to think, should I or shouldn't I? I'm not sure how well this is gonna mix because Hunterline, I know the Hunterline stuff is using alcohol. I honestly don't know. I'm assuming the ink also uses alcohol. This is acrylic ink, so I'm not sure how this is going to wind up going, especially with the bubbles. All right, now let's get some Mod Podge. Let's add some Mod Podge here. Sort of drip down. And we'll see what happens. All right. Let's see about sprinkling. Sprinkling this fine ballast. This fine ballast is what I'm planning on for the actual ballast. I think I do have another style of ballast around here also. I think it's a slightly gray color. Let me throw that in as a color texture almost. After I put some of this down, I'll add some more water to it. Sort of let stuff settle in, I guess. And we'll see by next week how well this adding water to everything for the smaller rocks will work. Now, I do know some people turn around and add they dilute their Mod Podge. But I have a feeling I shouldn't put anything on there until this all dries. And we'll go from there. Now, in that case, then, I'm going to have to do something that is annoying to do, but I think it has to be done. And that is to find a way to bring this back up and off. The black spot here, this is supposed to represent the deep end of this small pond here. Or at least that's what the plan is. I've never done a pond before, so I'm not sure how well it's going to come out. Okay, that went the wrong direction. But yeah, it looks like this piece here is sort of warped a little bit. So I have to figure out how to, one, take it off, and two, oh, here it comes. Okay, it's coming off here also. But well, that's what my thought process is adding darker colors in the center where there is a depression here. You can't see it from the camera view. But that's what my original plan was. That's why there's like a little thing that's coming down here. That's the problem. Sometimes, you do something really good and you can't take it apart without, well, breaking it. And that's what I'm trying not to do at this point. Heard something pop. Hopefully Hopefully that was a good pop, not a bad pop. All right, seems that the viewing side did not really get that much glue. Okay. Yeah, so the interesting thing is that this side was the side that's nice and level, and the other side seemed to have lifted up, but as you can see, there's no glue here, so it did not stay down where the other part did. All right, oh, looks like we lost a tie. But it's one of those things that if you want to make something that's going to last, but unfortunately, if you make a mistake or want to change something, that gets a bit of a challenge. All right, so that's what there. All right, so we got to figure out how to flatten this out. All right, how are we going to do this? Let's say we flatten it out with a little of this. Or maybe start with... All right. I think that's gonna make it easier to maneuver. But that's one of the disadvantages of trying to do stuff live. I mean, if you have to turn around and wait for something to dry, well, you got to wait for something to dry. But there's also, I've heard there's also the thing of trying not to overdo things. You know, eventually you get to a point of going like, okay, stop. You're going to make it worse instead of make it better. I'm hoping that's not what's going to happen here. Because I'm going to have to at least take some of this glue off of here in the center and all that, because this side is the side that's nice and level, but this side is up. So I'm going to have to take some of this off. And that's the challenge of sometimes doing stuff like this. Aha. That's what I need, the chisel blade. So it looks like the chisel blade is not really cutting into the glue. The glue is too rubbery. So I guess we'll have to go with the file. Let's see, what can I do this where I'm not going on top of anything that's wet. Let's see, file also might take a while. Because it's a very fine tooth file, not a rough one. So, see what other tools I have within my reach. And one thing that looks like I'm going to have an issue with is bubbles. I think I gotta. One way I know getting rid of bubbles would not work on this, and that's a blowtorch. One, because I don't have a blowtorch. And two, I'm not sure how flammable some of this stuff is. Actually, a chisel would be a nice sharp wooden chisel probably would work, which again I don't have. And plus, this is not fully dried yet either, because as you can see, I already lost a tie since the beginning of this. Let's get rid of bubbles. Let's get rid of bubbles, or we'll induce bubbles. Not sure if this is doing better or worse. There's a rock that's moving. Put a lot of glue on it, so it will eventually stop moving. But okay, that's the best thing I can do on that. But I'm going to have to figure out a different way maybe with this. Yeah, this is the valve I was talking about earlier. I would have to say I liked this particular company, but I have a feeling that they're no longer in business, and they have since it's a very generic name. They actually, for some, their coal that they had was fantastic. I mean, it actually glittered like unrefined coal. All right, we'll put sort of more of an accent than a whole thing, I guess. Just a slight sprinkle. Let's see. I'm trying to keep the, I guess, the color palette. I guess you would call it. Sort of like this this particular lighter color of rock, mainly because that's how a lot of the rocks in this area look like. They actually look more brown and orange than they do gray. And I think that's because there's a lot of marble in the area, and I think that's one of the reasons why this is sort of like a dirty marble. It's not the pure white stuff, but there are uh, marble quarries. Uh, let's see. I want to say less than 15 miles from my house. And something fell, and I don't know what it was. But yeah, if you take pictures around here, I'm not sure if it's because of the lot of marble quarries that are near here, but that's probably the reason why that rocks are not as gray or granite. This one I think has a little bit more leverage. It's smaller, but it seems to have more leverage for some reason. Of course, I am looking for a pair of nippers. The only ones I see right now are my wire cutters, which are not going to work. Or are they not going to work? Of course, actually looking at the cutting edge of the wire cutters, I think I might need new ones. Because that cutting edge is really rough. All right. Let's see if I got one that's hiding underneath here. Do I have anything hiding underneath here? No, I do not. Well, I do, but not what I'm looking for. Whoops. Where am I? Ah, the horses. All right. Yeah. Well, I guess I'll find other ways to try to get this portion of glue off. And also do something silly and try to keep it in the frame. All right. There we go. I think we're in frame. Yeah, we're in frame. No, this ain't gonna work either. Arg. That's one of the disadvantages at times, is that sometimes you don't have the tools that you need. Let's try this one. This is not the chisel blade, but it's not quite working exactly the way I want it either. All right. Well, guess we'll go back and forth between the chisel blade and the screwdriver. The chisel blade is getting underneath, but it's not really pulling it away. However, it's getting underneath it enough that the screwdriver can get underneath it and finish the job. I would have to say, work has been getting interesting. We do have a large customer that started have full trailer shipments on Fridays. Now my normal work schedule is Monday through Thursday at a 10-hour shift. But the thing is that this customer, we are assuming they want their delivery to wind up at their place on Monday. So, and it's a whole, the thing is going to travel the whole weekend. So they have to apparently have it on Friday. So a couple of weeks ago when they first did it, it was the guy who was there ready to pick it up was there before we were, and but we didn't wake him up because we didn't know if he was for some of the other companies that are in the same building. So once we figured out who he was and all that, I was pretty much out by noon. This Friday, they didn't show up until 2, so I didn't leave until about 3. And pretty much everything that had to be done was done by 9 o'clock. So there was about, let's say, almost 5 hours of pretty much doing busy work. But there was just so many times that you can clean the floor, basically. And it's like, okay, now what? So, and it was also hot and humid. It was like, yuck. But it looks like probably one thing I have to do afterwards is actually turn around and get a new blade, because this seems a little dull, and I do not have access to a new blade right in front of me. But this is definitely a boring, this seems to be a very boring show tonight. Slowly getting pieced together. Thing is, earlier when I was doing the ties and all that, I said, "My, that would be very boring to watch and all that." But then now I'm doing this. It's like, well, this is also probably very boring. Well, that's nice. Yeah, the weather here has been. Well, the thing is, I've moved here just before the pandemic, so I do not know what a quote normal weather pattern is. So I don't know if this is. I always thought it was supposed to get hot in August, not in September. Because August has been was cooler, I guess, than normal. I mean, it got hot for about less than a week, and then after that, it's been relatively cold. It's actually been hotter recently than it has been in August. Because September, you're usually starting to getting the long sleeves out and the long pants. But I'm still in shorts and short sleeves. Also, I got the notification that Nissy's on tonight. So I have no idea what she's planning. And I think because she's relatively new to doing the live stream stuff, I don't think she's figured out her niche, I guess. Not niche, style, possibly. I know this was when I originally started this channel. The style that I'm doing is not the style that I was thinking of. I'm not sure if anyone here has watched the YouTube channel This Old Tony. That's what I was sort of kind of going for, but that was also when I was unemployed. So when I got employed, that's when I started out with doing live streams, and when I got employed, it's just live streams are so much easier just to click on the thing that says go live and go live, and not worrying about making it picture perfect or anything along those lines. But it's one of those things of I'm hopefully entertaining. One of the things with This Old Tony is that he would do things that they're hilarious, but at the same time you're going like, no, that's not how machining works. And his is more of a machining channel. I did earlier this year get a mini lathe, and that was so I can turn around and do stuff with actually making see about using that to make models. I think I got that in March. Have not the reason why you haven't really seen it is because I haven't figured out what kind of camera angle to put on it. Because I only have 3 cameras. I only use 2. I use the one on the laptop for the headshot, basically. And I use this one for, the bench. I do have one that's pointed that way, but that's, I would have to say it doesn't really show that much of the detail of what I'm doing. There has been many times it's like, maybe I'll try this shot, and then I'm like, no, you can't see what I'm doing. But that camera is going to be the one that's probably going to be put on the lathe. I'm not sure where on the lathe. As I said, I haven't figured out a spot for it. But it's the thing is, the lathe is sort of a just got your notification for Nissy. It's been going. I think I got my initial notification for Nissy when I was on Hot Dog Andy's this morning. I turned on the computer before heading off for services, and then I think that's when I first got the notification. And then again, I got the notification when I turned on the computer for doing this. All right. Well, it looks like we got a good chunk out of it. I want to see about getting at least to there. Let's do this. So, yeah, actually, someone on Hot Dog Andy's stream said that he recently wound up screwdriver stripped and wound up going into his finger, which is bad. But it's even worse where apparently it was an electric it was an electric impact one. So instead of just stabbing him, it wound up going through and getting real messy, from what I understand. And this has a high spot here, which goes into that low spot. So I'm not too worried about that. I got about 10 minutes before that 10-minute break before getting on to Nissy's. Yeah, see, talk about slipping screwdrivers. Hence, my hand's over here. But right now, I'm abusing said screwdriver because it's not designed for a chisel. But a flathead screwdriver, from my understanding, is the most abused tool in the world. Because it's supposed to do, taking out screws or putting in screws, driving screws. It's not designed for chiseling like I'm doing now. Ooh. Apparently I'm determined to skewer myself with this. Upside down. Yeah, definitely an ouch. But I'm hoping my original intent was not to be the Bob Ross of model trains. But I'm not sure if I'm doing that very well. Because I remember when I was trying to figure out how to do backdrops, I wound up watching a lot of Bob Ross videos. And the interesting thing is one, he does oil paints. Something that I'm doing acrylics because, well, my apartment's not that ventilated, and it's usually suggested that you use lots of ventilation for oil paints. So that's why I bought a lot of acrylic for that. But I haven't found anyone really along the same lines as sort of like the Bob Ross of acrylics. I think I've came across a couple that did watercolors the same way, but again, wasn't quite aiming for that direction. I might actually aim for that direction because I'm assuming somebody does the tutorials on acrylics. Ooh. Hold on for 1 second. I just realized there's I wouldn't say a mistake, but something that I did not realize. All right, let's see. Da-da-da-da, da-da-da-da. We'll go this way. And we'll make the fork and spoon a moderator. So, all right. Let's see now. Let's see if this will work. Let's bring up the Ultimation Sander. Let's see if we can get some of the stuff off this way. It's probably not a very good position to do this in. Yeah, this is not working this way. Let's work it this way. This might not change the direction of everything, but it might smooth things out. This is more of a precision sander, not a well, I mean, if you wind up putting more more grippier stuff on there, you could probably take up a lot of stuff and all that, but that's not the original intent of this sander. It's more for like making all the ties, especially with this portion here, making all the ties the same width, where it's like you're having angles and stuff like that. All right, that looks like I guess I'll fight that a little bit more off camera. Just throw these back on here. Put the bridge back on here. So, yeah, eventually, I think when I re-glue this down, I'm going to definitely have to have a weight on this. But all right, let's switch cameras. All right. Actually, I just remembered something. Maybe I'll try that next week. All right, let's go back to here. But, yep. All right, well, that's sort of this for this exciting week of what I've been, this particular live stream. All right, let's try that. All right. So, well, it is now, for those who are interested, Nissy J is, yeah, it's a very nice sander. It's a lot of people think that's a little overkill because they do have, there are other ones that are cheaply made, but the Ultimation sander, I mean, the thing actually, the thing has, ball bearings for it to go around. So when you're not turning anything, you can give that a quick flip, and that will keep on spinning for a good minute. They also recently bought. I can't think of the guy's name. He made a Ultimation chopper, and it's a lot more precise than I got the Northwest Shortline Chopper 3, but his is, you can actually set it up where you can actually, with a chopper, you have to, use these things to get, it's either 30, 45, or 60 degree angles. The way his is set up is almost like a chop saw, where it's infinite angles. I'm not sure if it's 2 angles or not. But it's one of those things of, again, it's a lot more expensive than what the Chopper 3 is. But I mean, if you do a lot of cutting of angles, that might be the way to go. From my understanding, some of the hardline stuff that's available, a lot of people would take one look at it and go like, it's like, oh, I can't do that. And then when that automation sander came along, they're like, ooh, I'll buy this, and then I can buy the other kit to make all the parts and all the angles all the same and all that, and then finally be able to build those kits, because some of the kits that Hunter Line has they almost need something that's almost production level. You're making 20 of the same exact parts, so you need them all the same length and at the same angle. So you can make, I think you can make 20 or 40 or maybe even 100 of the same exact thing. You need something like the automation sander or the chopper in order to be able to do that. You could theoretically do it by hand, but it would probably take longer and not come out as nice. But especially if your skill level isn't up there. Oh, that's interesting. I'm looking at the task manager, and the problem I would have before is that the disk would constantly be running and all that. Now it looks like the CPU is up to that level, which, all right, as long as I only have this running and the task manager, I should be okay. Okay, not that much wood. Now they get a 3D printer. I have a 3D printer. I haven't used it as, there's the initial honeymoon phase of, ooh, I can do this and this and this. I've gotten to the point of not using it as much anymore. I think I cleaned it out and that was about it. So I haven't used it in a while. It's one of those things I used to, there are sometimes I would go and like, oh, I should use it for X, whatever project. But it's one of those things that I already got too many projects, so I, don't want to do that. Oh, you have two now. I have a single resin printer. It's a Frozen Mini. I think it's a 4K because they didn't have the 8K yet. The reason why I went with that was at the time, it was the only one that had a monochrome screen. All the other ones had colored screens. Hello there, Randall. Thank you for coming in. I'm getting ready to sign off so we can all go to Nissy's place because she's doing stuff now. But yeah, it's one of those things of, yes, I've got one, but I'm not using it as much. Technically, I got right now the resin printer is getting as much use as the dot matrix one that I have, which is not, I don't think I've used it this year. I think I've used it last year, but not this year. I think I haven't used it since I started working, which was about the same time I've started this channel. So that's a while ago. Probably still works, but I just haven't been using it because what I've been using it for, I'm not. I was doing a fantasy thing for a while, a fantasy rail car, but then it's got what I had a hard time getting the scale right. The first one I did is like, this shouldn't take that long, but it didn't. It took less than 30 minutes and all that, but then it wound about that size. It's like, I'm looking for HO scale. So next time I did it, it was that big. It's like, no, that's G scale. I want HO. So it's one of those things I haven't figured it out. And right now I'm just not doing stuff in plastic right now. So, well, it is like about 10 minutes before Nissy comes on. So I guess I'll log off so people can do what they need to do. Yes, sizing things correctly is very hard. But eventually I'll get it. It's just that right now 3D printing is not a hobby that's model railroad adjacent that I'm into at this particular moment in time. One thing I haven't been able to figure out how to do StreamYard and, why, thank you, Curly, doing the screen shares. Is basically if I once I'm able to figure out the screen share and then be able to do that live streaming on StreamYard, I might dive back into that. Oh yeah, you were doing all those tanks. So were you doing a tank train? But, well, the way I look at it is that the world needs more love. So find your passion, like printing tanks, add some silliness to it, and spread it around. Good night, everyone.